A sixth grader called Preston left a review of iReady Pro, the new version of iReady for older students. He wrote, iReady Pro removed all that I still liked. He's asking for the old iReady back. Yes, the old version, the one with a 1.1 star rating. That's how bad iReady Pro is. It made a 1.1 star product look good.
I wanna start from the top.
I recently made a video about iReady, the adaptive learning platform used by 14 million American students. Kids crying at desks, teachers quitting. This video today is about what Curriculum Associates did next. They launched iReady Pro, a new version for older students. New look, new XP system, new name for the diagnostic. The whole thing was supposed to fix iReady's toxic reputation with teenagers, who were being taught fractions by a cartoon character called Snark while their classmates watched. And it's gone well. Not. Because iReady Pro managed to take a product that students already described as medieval torture, stripped away the only parts they tolerated, and replaced them with a 43-second breathing video that makes kids panic. This is the story of how iReady Pro is failing on every front, and how it fits into a pattern across the entire edtech industry, where companies keep taking things away from students and calling it progress. Hit subscribe if you care about what's happening to these poor techs with the edtech situation in classrooms. Now, let's get into it. Part 1. How do you make iReady worse? Now, here's the product design challenge. You have one of the most hated pieces of educational software in America. Students despise iReady. Teachers are leaving over iReady. The reviews are catastrophic. You need to fix iReady for older students who are especially humiliated by the childish presentation. What do? Well, if you're Curriculum Associates, you remove the brain break games. You replace them with a breathing exercise. You add an XP system that literally nobody understands, and leave every structural problem with the OG iReady untouched. Then you win an industry award for iReady Pro. Because of course you do. The brain breaks are the main story. In old iReady, during the diagnostic, you get periodic minigames. Cat Stacker, a Minesweeper variant. Nothing spectacular. The kind of thing you'd play on a Nokia in 2004. But it was a moment of relief in an otherwise relentless experience. iReady Pro replaced those games with a 45-second video of someone breathing.
Imagine a balloon that is your favorite color. The one I pick is blue. Now imagine your balloon underneath your belly button that gets biggest as you breathe in and gets smaller as you breathe out.
One student on Trustpilot wrote, iReady Pro replaced a fun game into useless breathing exercises, and I'm saying this on a school at Chromebook. The kid is using school property to file a formal complaint against the school's own software. That's iReady Pro for ya. Another wrote, since when did a website who did not care about a child's mental health start caring about relaxing and breathing exercises? The child sits there, lets it play, and then moves on. An 8th grader called Joseph called iReady Pro's breathing video a stupid, boring, and poorly edited breathing video. A $750 million company apparently couldn't nail a 45-second clip of someone inhaling and exhaling. They even butchered that. Another student reported that iReady Pro's breathing exercise low-key makes me panic more for some reason. And another noticed iReady Pro's timer cuts off at 43 seconds instead of 45. So the calming content induces panic, can't count, and was edited by someone who appears to have been doing it on their lunch break. It's the corporate equivalent of your house burning down and someone then handing you a pamphlet about fire safety. And the brain break games weren't all iReady Pro took away. I used to love iReady when all it was fun lessons and punch cards for prizes. What happened? The characters weren't everyone's favourites, but I kept wondering when I'd see them again. Then 6th grade hit. iReady Pro removed all that I still liked. The diagnostics are long, and some of my friends had to stress to complete it. I don't like iReady, and I don't think anyone would miss it. The punch cards, the coins, the reward games. The characters that, yes, were embarrassing, but also the only things that made iReady feel like it was designed for a human being rather than a server rack. iReady Pro removed all of them. On Trustpilot, a student called Seth wrote, the iReady Pro sucks even more because you don't even get practice. They just say, do this this and figure it out yourself. Some students even missed the cartoon characters that iReady Pro was built to eliminate. One pleaded, "Bring back Yoop and Plory for everyone, not just K3. Another said, "The app treats me like a 3-year-old, even in iReady Pro." The entire reason iReady Pro exists was to stop older students feeling patronized. And yet, the students using iReady Pro still feel patronized. Curriculum associates identified what students hated most about iReady and fixed it by removing the only parts they liked. The educational equivalent of renovating a flat by keeping the damp and ripping out the kitchen. iReady Pro's XP system, the big new feature, landed with the enthusiasm of a wet handshake. Adding ranks ain't gonna help encourage students if the lessons make you stay longer than usual. Another student added, "Awards are just some stupid profile which a child does not really care about." On the iReady fandom wiki, students are trying to work out what iReady Pro's leveling tiers even mean. Yes, iReady Pro's ranking system is so poorly communicated that its own users have formed a wiki to investigate it. Like a cold case from the 1970s. And iReady Pro's core lesson mechanics, of course they're untouched from the original iReady. One student wrote, "If you get 60%, you have to restart the whole lesson, which takes you 30 minutes. Across every review platform I checked, Trustpilot, Smart Customer, the App Store, TikTok, the fandom wiki, I found 0 students who praised iReady Pro as an improvement. 0. Part 2. iReady Pro is designed to ignore you. One of iReady Pro's selling points is personalized learning. And yet, the Curriculum Insight Project, a team of educators who actually looked under iReady Pro's bonnet, found the personalization is cosmetic. 2 students with identical scores and completely different weaknesses get the exact same iReady Pro lessons. When I was teaching English as a foreign language abroad, I'd constantly have students with similar test scores who actually needed completely different things. One kid understood reading and writing, but froze the second they had to speak. Another was fluent in conversation, but fell apart with written grammar. Same mark on paper, completely different students. I'd know the difference within a single lesson. You can see it, feel it, hear it within a room. iReady Pro would put both of those kids on the same pathway and call it personalized. And iReady Pro still doesn't let teachers see how individual students answered each question. It just gives you summary level data. So even with iReady Pro's shiny new dashboard, a teacher can't go through a child's specific mistakes with them. When I was teaching, sometimes I'd just be walking around the room while students were learning. I might point at something, I might say, "What's going on here?" 30 seconds, maybe even less. And yet, that tiny moment would unstick them completely, because I could see the specific thing they misunderstood and address it on the spot. iReady Pro gives students a 43-second breathing video when they're struggling. I gave my students 30 seconds of actual attention. One of those cost $750 million a year, the other one's free. Part 3. iReady Pro isn't the only one. iReady Pro would be depressing enough on its own, but iReady Pro is part of a pattern running across the entire K-12 edtech sector. And once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. In 2022, Quizlet locked core study features behind a $36 a year paywall, modes that have been free for over a decade. Bypass tools appeared on GitHub. TikTok tutorials for circumventing Quizlet's paywall went viral. Competitor Nout ran campaigns that literally said use this instead. Quizlet launched an AI tutor to replace the value Quizlet had destroyed, and quietly killed the AI tutor by 2025 because nobody used it. It's the iReady Pro playbook, but with flashcards. New Seller went from thousands of free articles to 4 articles rotated every 4 weeks. Kahoot cut their free tier to 10 players per session, which is useful to a classroom teacher in the same way a chocolate teapot is useful to someone who wants to make tea. Prodigy Math drew an FTC complaint after researchers found that during 19 minutes of Prodigy gameplay, children encountered 16 membership ads and 4 maths problems. Non-paying Prodigy students walk on dirt, while paying members literally float on clouds. Every one of these follows the same logic as iReady Pro. The contract is with the district. The student has no purchasing power. The teacher has has no veto. So the incentive structure points entirely at people who never use iReady Pro, and the people who use iReady Pro every day absorb whatever gets changed. And for iReady Pro specifically, there are 0 independent efficacy studies. Not a single one. The broader iReady platform scored a 0.1 effect size in an independent analysis, meaning little to no statistically meaningful benefit. So we have iReady Pro, a product used by millions of children, backed by $750 million, and the scientific evidence that iReady Pro works is essentially trust us, which iReady we don't. Part 4. The problem was never the cartoons. iReady Pro exists because older students were embarrassed by iReady's cartoon characters. And fair enough, that was a real problem. But iReady Pro removed every small mercy that made iReady bearable. The games, the rewards, the coins, and replaced them with a breathing exercise that induces panic, an XP system nobody understands, and a label that students associate with falling behind. And iReady Pro's diagnostic is the same diagnostic that teachers have criticized now for over a decade. iReady Pro's lessons still restarts from scratch when you fail. iReady Pro's personalization is still cosmetic. Yes, everything that made iReady a disaster is still there with iReady Pro. The disaster just has a new dashboard now. Because of course it does. Ryan Moulton is an engineer whose kids regressed after a year on iReady. He said, "I feel especially guilty about this because I believed the marketing. iReady Pro's rebrand was supposed to rescue iReady's tattered reputation. Instead, it's proving what students have been saying all along. The problem was never the cartoon characters. The problem is that iReady is built around measuring students rather than teaching them. And iReady Pro's new dashboard doesn't fix that. iReady Pro's new name doesn't fix that. The only thing that fixes that is a human being who can look a child in the eye and say, here's where you went wrong. And iReady Pro has made sure that there's even less room for that than before." Let me know in that comment section below, have you used iReady Pro? Teachers, parents, students, I want to hear from all of you. And if you used old iReady, how do you think the new iReady compares? Comment below and you might feature in a future video. Smash that like button if you made it to the end. iReady. See you for the next one. From me, Snipe Snap, from my cat Leroy, Snipe, Snap, out.